And chapter 10 is about the oligopoly market structure.
Oh, I have just one question about
Yeah.
Now, it's going to cover the chapters that we didn't cover in the first one.
That's true. In other words, the final exam is not cumulative. So we'll take a look at the oligopoly market structure. And last week, we went, oh, you must be happy. The Bitcoin was hitting $9,000, yes? The Bitcoin, $9,000, yeah. It was absolutely. So oligopoly is in between what? Pure competition and monopoly. So there are four different types of market structure. And a market structure is determined by three important characteristics. Remember what are the three important characteristics? Three characteristics. The number of what? Consumers. What else?
Barriers to entry.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Barriers to entry. Actually, barriers to entry is the third one. Yeah. Barriers to entry. What else? Nature of the product. Nature of the product. So there are four different types of market structure according to the three characteristics. The pure competition is one extreme. In the pure competition market structure, there are many buyers, consumers, and producers. They produce exactly the same product and no free entry, right? Free entry. So the companies are price takers. They have to take the price as given. That's for pure competition. And then what about the monopoly? Monopoly is the other extreme. There's only one company. So the company is the industry. So the company is a price maker, right? Price maker. And the monopoly arises because of what? Barriers to entry. Barriers to entry. So in between the two extreme market structures, pure competition, monopoly, and we discussed the monopoly competitive market last week. Monopoly competitive markets is very similar to pure competition. The only difference is what? Product differentiation. So in a monopoly competitive market structure, there's still a lot of consumers, a lot of companies. Easy to enter or exit. The only difference is what? Companies producing similar but different products. So that's why even in the monopoly competitive market, the companies are price makers. And today we'll take a look at the last one, which is the oligopoly market structure. So if we take a look at the three characteristics of the oligopoly market structures, number of companies, a few large ones. So talking about the big five, big four, right? Do you have any good examples? The tobacco market, only maybe 4 or 5 companies. And controlling maybe 99% or 100% of market share. Tennis balls.
So airline.
The airlines, yeah. And aircraft manufacturer, right? Boeing and Airbus probably, they're the two largest ones. And so, a few large players. And what about nature of the product? They can produce similar, exactly the same product, or maybe products with some differentiation. And how about barriers to entry? Substantial barriers to entry, substantial. So that's why a few large companies can enjoy the dominating market share because of the substantial barriers to entry. And duopoly is a special case. We have only two companies in the market. And a pure oligopoly, they produce exactly the same product. And differential oligopolies, they produce similar but different products. And most of the large industry in the United States can be classified as oligopoly. The auto industry, pharmaceutical, right? Pharmaceutical. But the pharmaceutical company, the industry is also dominated by a few large companies. So how do they compete against each other if you only have two large players? They can compete on price, but actually it's not very common because it's not a win-win for both of them. If they compete, if they compete against each other, and then what happens? Keep cutting the price. How about, let's say, the few large airline companies that compete with each other, cut the fares all the way from $1,500 to $200. It's possible if they compete. It will be close to what? It will be close to a pure competition market structure. So for the remember for the pure competition or perfect competition, so how to maximize remember the price is equal to margin revenue. Price is equal to margin revenue. Yeah. And how to maximize profit for the company. The general rule is what? You equalize margin revenue and marginal cost. So that's why the price is set to marginal cost. This is for the pure competition. And then for the monopoly, what's the relationship? The monopolist faces downward sloping demand curve. So that's why the price is not constant. And actually, the relationship between price and the marginal revenues, the price is greater than the marginal revenue. Well, how to maximize profit? What's the general rule? Same thing. This is the red one is the general rule for companies in any type of market structure. Equalize marginal revenue and marginal cost. So now, what's the relationship between price and the marginal cost for the monopoly? Or companies with market power, or price makers, right? Price makers. The price is greater than the marginal cost. So if a few large companies, they compete against each other and have a price competition, then eventually the price will be driven toward the marginal cost, right? Marginal cost. If they keep cutting down the price. So which is not a win-win for a few large companies. So it's not very often that you will see a price competition. But there are only a few large players, large companies in the industry. So that's why sometimes it's important. The companies are interdependent. Which means what? If a company, AT&T, decides to have a free upgrade to iPhone 8 or X, whatever. And then AT&T has to take into account the potential possible reactions from the rivals, right? T-Mobile, right? T-Mobile. So the companies are interdependent. Must consider the possible outcomes or reactions of competitors. So the sources of oligopoly, economies of scale, because only large companies sometimes can enjoy what they produce. What is economies of scale? The more you produce, the lower the cost, right? The lower the cost. So only large company can enjoy the economy of scale. Government, sometimes government protection, copyright. And what about this one? So even we have in the oligopoly market, if you look at airline industry, we have Continental, United, and also Delta, right? But it's hard if you once you have the promotion program, the mileage program with Delta, it will be very difficult for you to switch, right? Because if you switch to, so a lot of people were angry at the United, right? Remember the incident? So they said they are going to switch from United to other airlines. But how many of them have done that? Probably not that many. You know why? It's just to, if you switch to a different airline, and then what happens to all the status, right? So it's just difficult. So how to measure oligopoly? We use two ratios. The first ratio is the concentration ratio, which is the percent of the market share controlled by 4 or maybe 8 or 12 largest companies in the industry. And the second one is the Herfindahl index. Herfindahl index is sum of squared market shares of all companies in the industry. So if we take a look at some examples here. So this is the U.S. Department of Justice. Considers a market with HHI Herfindahl index less than 1,500 to be a competitive marketplace. Between 1,500 to 2,500, moderately concentrated market. And if the HHI is greater than 2,500, you consider as a highly concentrated marketplace. So if you take a look at the calculation, so if there's only one company in the industry, so what's the concentration ratio of one company? 100%. So the market share 100%. So what's the Herfindahl index? It is 100%. So in this case, it's 100 squared. So that's 10,000. So 10,000 probably is the largest number, right? Complete monopoly. But let's say if there are two companies in the industry. One is with 90% share of the market. The other one with 10% market share. Total is 100%. So 90 squared plus 10 squared. So now the Herfindahl index is smaller, right? Relative, because you have two companies. It's 8,200. And how about if we have 4 equal-sized firms in the industry? So each company controls what? 25% of market share. 25% market share. And so if that's the case, so what's the Herfindahl index? How to do this calculation? Is that I think that should be 25%, 25 square. There are 4 companies, right? So 4 times 25 squared. But I believe the square of 25 is 625, right? It times 4. So that would be 25. And also, how about with 100 companies in the industry? Equal share. So each company contributes 1%, right? So one square, it times 100. So that's 100. That's 100. Very good. Is that clear? This is how the DOJ classifies the market concentration. And I have some examples here. So the 4 largest companies, the tobacco industry controls 98% of market share. So now, if we take a look at the duopoly. Duopoly means there's only 2 companies compete against each other. Two companies compete each other. And then we're assuming that they so that's a duopoly, which is on this page, duopoly. 2 producers, right? They compete against each other. So we have different types of models trying to study what? The interactive, interdependent relationship among several large players. And so this chapter, we'll take a look at a few models. And next chapter, we'll take a look at a game theory. It's a game theory to study the company's strategies, if there are only a few large players. But in this chapter, we'll take a look at a few models. But I try not to use the mathematical formulas. I mean, we can develop very fancy mathematical formulas to find the results, but it probably would be too much math for some of these. But for the ECON model, there are 2 companies. Yeah? So each company is trying to maximize profit under what? The rivals, under this condition that the market rivals were not changing their output. That's the basic condition. And actually, a different model is Bertrand model. In this case, companies compete against each other based on the price. It's a different model. So for this model, 2 companies, they produce identical products. And to make life easy, let's say the marginal cost is equal to 0. If the marginal cost is equal to 0, so if the 2 companies behave like a purely competitive firm, how much are they going to produce? How much are they going to produce if they behave like a purely competitive firm? For a purely competitive firm, what's the rule? Price is set to what? Marginal cost. If marginal cost is 0, so basic is 0. They will compete, kill each other, right? Until the price is equal to 0. Then both will disappear. But that's not a win-win solution. But we assume initially company A has a monopoly. There's only 1 company. Then the new company, equal size, company B enters the market. So if that's the case, what happens? the entry by company B reduces the demand for company A. Right? Reduces the demand for company A. So how about company A? Company has to what? Produce less, right? Produce less. And if company B reacts if company A decides to produce less, so that means what? Company B can produce more, right? So this is a dynamic process. Eventually, what happens? If we assume they have an equal marginal cost, equal size, then eventually the two companies will share the market, 50% each. So the market is shared by equally among the two companies. But you will also find, in this case, the solution for the oligopoly model, most of the time is in between what? In between the monopoly and the pure competition. So usually this is the case. The price of oligopoly is less than the price charged by the monopoly, but greater than the price charged by the purely competitive market. Pure competition market. But how about the quantity produced by oligopoly will be less than the quantity produced in the purely competitive market, but greater than the quantity produced by the monopoly. So that's again here. So that's a basic. So the oligopoly market is in between the pure competition and monopoly. In a different model, this is called a kink demand model. Now, what is kink demand model? So if you look at the graph, you will find the demand. This is the demand curve. So it's kink at point B. So what happened at point B? It's not like a straight line, right? Demand curve. So what happened at the point B? So if you have a kink demand curve like this, then the marginal revenue curve will be like this shape. Okay? This is A, G, H, J. This is the marginal revenue curve. So what happened at point B? The explanation is simple. The idea is if you only have a few large companies in the industry, and then most likely if company B increases the price, company B, oh not company B, that's point B. Let's say if one company, this company increases the price, then what happens? Most likely the competitors will not follow. How about, let's say AT&T is going to change the data plan, say increase from $30 a month for unlimited data access to $100. You think that T-Mobile is going to follow? Probably not, right? And then what happens? What happens? AT&T made a lot of customers. That's why you can see this part of the demand curve is what? Relatively flat or elastic. The demand is relatively elastic means what? Consumers are sensitive to changing price. I mean, in other words, you will see a large change in quantity because AT&T raised the price and other companies will not follow. So AT&T may lose a lot of customers. So that's why this part of the demand is highly elastic. Large change in quantity. But how about if AT&T decides to give a free iPhone X upgrade, and then probably later T-Mobile and other companies will follow, right? In other words, if AT&T decides to reduce the price, so this portion reduce the price, then other companies will follow. And if that's the case, AT&T may not gain over that many new customers. So the demand is relatively steeper, relatively inelastic. So that's, I believe that's the condition. Yeah. So if you raise the price, other firms will not follow. So the demand is elastic. Elastic means will largely. If you lower the price, other firms will follow. So the demand, the quantity changing will be small. So the demand tends to be inelastic. So that's why you can see we have a kinky demand curve. In other words, the demand curve faced by the oligopolists have two portions. This portion, the demand is flat, so the demand is elastic. And this portion, the demand is relatively steep or inelastic. And then now, if you take a look at the marginal revenue curve, usually the marginal revenue curve is looks like this. So if the demand curve, this is the price, yeah, this is the point. This is the demand curve, and usually the marginal revenue curve is like this, yeah, like this. But how about for this one? We have a vertical, right? Vertical portion. A vertical portion means what? A vertical portion. So the marginal cost, you see the cost may change here over time. So let's say if the cost is MC. So for this this oligopoly company, how much to produce? What's the general rule? Given the blue line, the demand curve, given this solid black line, which is the marginal revenue, how much to produce? You equalize what? Marginal revenue and what?
Marginal cost.
Marginal revenue, marginal cost. So the company will produce this quantity and charge a price. Where to find the price? You draw a straight line all the way to the demand curve. This is the demand curve. You find that that's the price. But for whatever reason, if the price has increased to MC prime, then what happens to the quantity and the price? It stays the same, right? Stay the same. How about if the marginal cost drops to MC double prime? Then what happens? Still, the quantity is the same. So that's one of the reasons that in the oligopoly market, price tends to be very stable, even though sometimes the cost may have changed. Yeah. But prices, and also the market share by the company are very stable. So that's one of the explanations, because they have a kinky demand curve. So the market revenue has a vertical portion. So between this two G and H, so the change of marginal cost, the cost, will not have any impact on the price and the quantity. But it would be nice for the cartel model. It would be nice for if there are only two companies, let's say AT&T and T-Mobile, if they can talk to each other, right? They both agree, said that the new data plan, $100 each person, but you still have to use it, right? But it's not, it's illegal, right? It's illegal. It's illegal. You cannot. It's illegal in the United States. And a different model is, so even for the cartel models, they may have market sharing cartels. So basically, they have some kind of agreement, explicitly or implicitly. Explicit agreement is illegal, and implicit agreement, it's hard to prove, right? They may share gives each member the exclusive right to operate in a particular market. And centralized cartel is more like a formal agreement, open agreement, like the OPEC, right? OPEC. So basically, they have an official agreement. So all the companies were united together, and to behave like a monopolist. And a monopolist, the other companies combined can realize maximize the profit. And then they can negotiate with each other how to share the profit, how to share the profit. And in the next graph, you can see there are two companies. The first company has relatively high cost. Second company has relatively small cost. But it doesn't matter, it's only two companies. So this is the marginal cost, this is marginal cost. So the combined marginal cost is this one, marginal cost. And this is the demand faced by both companies. But if both companies behave like a monopolist, so you can see this is what? The combined marginal cost. And then, in this case, how much to produce? Marginal revenue to marginal cost. So both companies combined will produce 50 and charge the price of $8. So in this case, they can realize the largest profit. And then how to split the output, right? So in this particular case, company A, the first company produced 20 units, and this company produced 30 units. And this depends on the negotiation between the two companies. So this is a centralized monopoly. So the companies combine together or unite together to produce, to behave like a monopolist, so they can realize the largest profit. And then they have to sit down to negotiate. Right? Who produce, how much to produce for each participants in this centralized monopoly. And sometimes we also see a price leadership. Now, what is a price leadership? We have a large company, dominant company in the industry, but we also have many small companies. So the large company is the leader, right? The leader. So basically, the leader will set the price, and then all the other small companies behave more like a pure competitor. So they will take whatever the price set by the price leader. So the small companies will behave like a price taker. The price leader will behave like a price maker. So the largest company basically will set the price, and then the small companies will behave like price takers to take the price as given. And also the textbook, probably in other management class, you will also discuss Porter's 5 important competitive factors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So the factors will affect what? The intensity of competition and also the profitability of the firms. The threat from substitute products, threat of entry, intensity of rivalry among the existing competitors, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers. And do we have any good examples for this one? It's read from substitute products. How about Google? Any potential substitutes for Google?
Yahoo, Bing.
Lycos, remember?
But they're not popular.
Facebook? No. It's a different platform.
You mean for the actual browser or for the actual service?
Service, right? Service.
AOL?
Yeah.
We say no.
But how about the iPhone? Yes? Samsung, yeah. And also some Chinese companies producing some new phones or whatever. So we'll see the potential competition in the future. And how about the bargaining power of buyers? Any good examples? And the bargaining power of suppliers. Bargaining power of buyers is what? Like Walmart, right? If they purchase large quantities. So that's how they have a great bargaining power whenever they talk to the suppliers. So it's harder to make money if you do business with Walmart, because they can cut the price so low. And you have to order large quantity, and Walmart can stop ordering your product anytime. And then we end up with large inventories. So the competition tends to be less, and the profits will be higher, the greater the degree of concentration in the market. Non-price versus price competition. Entry and exit barriers. And the ratio of fixed to total cost. So like an airline industry, the fixed cost is so very significant. Very significant. Switching costs, the growth rate of the industry. And also this one probably is the threat of entry is one of the most important competitive conditions. So as long as the market is free to entry, and in the long run, companies can only make normal profit. Companies in the long run. What normal profit means what? Normal profit. Remember the purely competitive market in the long run. This is the average total cost. This is the marginal cost. What's the long run equivalent? Long run equivalent is what? This point. The market demand will pass through this point. At this point, companies break even. Or in other words, companies making normal profit or zero economic profit. And why? Because of the threat of entry. As long as the market is no barriers to entry, then the company in the long run can only enjoy the normal profit or break even. But break even means economic profit is equal to zero. But accounting profit can be greater than that, because the economic cost, when we compute the economic cost, we include the implicit cost. So the efficiency of oligopoly. For the oligopoly market, And basically, the demand curve is what? Downward sloping. Downward sloping. So for the purely competitive market, so the purely competitive market is from the social point of view, the purely competitive market is the best. Now, what is the fundamental economic problem? Scarce resources, scarcity, not enough resources. So the society has to, economics is about the efficient management of limited resources to satisfy people's unlimited wants. So the purely competitive market, this point is the best from social point of view. You know why? Because first, this point is least cost. Yeah? Because this is what? The lowest point of the arbitrary cost, least cost. So this is a productive, it's called a productive efficiency. Productive efficiency. And also at this point, you can see this is the demand curve of the price curve. The price is set to what? The marginal cost. Now what is marginal cost? The additional cost to produce a unit of the product. What is the price? You're willing to pay $100, right, for a product. That $100 reflects your potential benefit from the consumption of the product. So the price basically is the benefit. So in other words, from a social point of view, the marginal benefit is equal to marginal cost. So this is called allocative efficiency. Now what is allocative efficiency? It produces the goods and services people want the most. People want the most. So this is a purely competitive quantity. This is the best. But remember, how about oligopoly market? Oligopoly market will produce a quantity which is less than what? Purely competitive quantity. So it will be on the left side. Somewhere around here. Somewhere around here. So you can see the cost will be relatively high, right, compared to purely competitive market. And also, the price is usually greater than what? As long as the company has some kind of market power, remember, the price is greater than marginal cost. In a purely competitive market, the price is equal to marginal cost. And for companies with market power, the price is greater than marginal cost. But on the other hand, though, oligopoly company, large companies, they may be able to enjoy economy of scale because they are the size of the company. So the more they produce, the lower the cost. And also, large companies, they can afford investing a lot of money in research and development. So it would be good for new technology, new innovation. And some advertising is maybe useful for companies, for consumers. So let's take a look at this week's homework question. Actually, this week's homework question is pretty easy. You want to enjoy it by yourself?
No.
Vital. Yes, this website allows me to access any textbook in the United States. My bookshelf. Sorry, it's kind of slow. Wow. Okay, it's almost there. Okay. See managerial, economics. Yeah. Can you tell me which page? If you have the assignments
Page
for
459.
huh?
459.
Okay, 459. So this is a shortcut, yeah. 459. 459.
Oh, sorry.
Which question?
Question one.
Question 1.
Question 1, yeah. Okay, question 1. This is question 1. Okay, how many days for it? 3 firms. One is 70%. The other two is 20% and 10%. Uh, 70%, yes. So that's 70 square, right? Plus 20 square.
10 squared plus 10 squared.
So that's 53, yeah? Open there. Highly concentrated. And one firm with 50% market share, and 10 other equal-sized firm. So how to do B? One company is what? 50%. Yeah.
50 squared.
So that would be 50 square. 50%. 50 square. Then we have other 10 other companies. So 5% each, right?
Yes.
So it will be 10 times what? 5 square, right? Because 5 square each. Or I mean, 5 square plus 5 square is 10 of them. 10 companies. So this will be 2,500 plus 250, right? So that would give us 2750. And the last one, 10 equal-sized firm. So each company is what? 10%, right? 10%. C is 10%. 10%, 10 square, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
But we have 10 companies like this, so 10 times 10 squared. So that would be equal to 1,000. Yeah, 1,000.
Excuse me, sir. I think A is
Hmm?
5,400.
Pardon?
I think A is 5,400.
Oh. 5? Yeah, 54. Yeah. The next question is which one?
Number 9.
Number 9. No. Okay. May I erase, Question number 9. Two equal-sized firms, so exactly the same size, yeah? The main function is Q is equal to 20 minus 2P. Okay. Q is equal to 20 minus 2P. So the question, and also each company has a marginal cost of 2 two different companies though. So the both equal to marginal costs. So we have a marginal cost equal to 2Q1. Q1 is for the first company, right? Marginal cost equal to 2. The second company is also have the same, yeah? But I try to indicate there's a difference between Q1 and Q2. Q1 is the quantity produced by the company, first company. Q2 is the quantity produced by the second company. And the Q is what? The combined, yeah? Q1 price, basically Q1 price. So the question asks you the marginal revenue curve. Given this one, how to find the marginal revenue? The marginal revenue, well, there are two different approaches. Marginal revenue is equal to marginal revenue. So we need to find the total revenue. Yeah, total revenue. So any idea how to find? Because what's marginal revenue? Marginal revenue is the additional revenue if you produce one more unit. So if we can find the total revenue, we take a derivative, we can find the marginal revenue. But now the key is how to find the total revenue and express everything in quantity, right? So what I can do is can I move for this around? This is a direct demand function. Quantity is a function of P. We can try to do is we can see whether we can find an indirect demand function. So in this case, the price is a function of Q. So what I can do is can we find for the original equation, quantity is a function of Q, P. So if I move 2P to the left, move Q to the right minus Q. So you can find price is equal to 10 minus half Q. So this is the indirect inverse demand function. Yeah. So now what is the total revenue? Total revenue is always equal to price times quantity, right? And what is the price? Is 10 minus half Q times Q. So this will give us 10Q minus half Q squared. This is the total revenue. So now we have the total revenue. Can we find the marginal revenue? All we need to do is take the first derivative. So we can take the first derivative of total revenue with respect to quantity. Then 10Q becomes 10, and half Q squared. So move 2 to the front, reduce the power by 1, so minus Q. That's all. So 10 minus Q is the marginal revenue. That's marginal revenue. Okay, the next, and also we needed to find the marginal cost. The marginal cost. So in this case, we have the cost structure for the two companies. So in this case, for this one, it's Q1 is equal to what? MC divided by 2, yeah? If I move to. And Q2 is equal to what? MC divided by 2. So now if I add them together, Q1 plus Q2, which is equal to what? Q, right? Equal to Q. Is equal to what? Basically, that's marginal cost, right? Equal to MC. So that's the marginal cost. Oh, sorry. What happened? Okay, so that's for 9, yeah? What's the last question?
10.
7?
No, 10.
10, okay. Find for 9, determine the equivalent Q and P for the cocktail. That's pretty easy because once we know the marginal revenue and the marginal cost, how to maximize profit, marginal equalize marginal revenue and marginal cost. Yeah, equalize margin. What's the marginal revenue? 10 minus Q, right? What's the marginal cost? Equal to Q. So, in this case, the quantity is equal to what? 5 to Q. And the quantity is equal to 5, and so what's the price? $7.5, right? If you plug into this equation, 10 minus half 5, so 2, that's 7. Okay, so the solution is Q is equal to 5, and P is equal to, price is $7.50. Okay, so let's take a break.